How's it going, everyone? We've got a bunch of PlayStation news and updates to go over in this video. Obviously, we had some disappointing news and upsetting news recently with all of the layoffs and cancellations, studio closures. We have gotten insight that one major upcoming title has not been canceled. We'll see how that progresses, but again, we'll talk about that. Dragon Age Dreadwolf, a game that has been long in development, and BioWare certainly has been an up and down studio over the last decade or so, but it looks like the game might be dropping this year. We'll talk that. And Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, I'm sure a lot of you guys are busy with it. I am personally playing through it right now, really enjoying the game. There is one issue in the game that's a glaring issue, and it looks like a patch will be coming out in the near future to help with that. We'll talk about that at the end of the video. Obviously, you guys are aware that the game's absolutely tremendous, so again, we'll talk that at the end of this video. Now, before we get into this video, I just want to ask you guys, please like this video and do leave a comment with your thoughts. It really does help out the channel a lot, and it is much appreciated. First of all, Jason Schreier on Twitter noted that as far as the Horizon MMO goes, and this was in response to somebody else, somebody asked, did they also cancel Horizon Online at Guerrilla? And Jason Schreier just said no. Now, it hasn't been canceled yet. We'll see the progress of that game. Remember, with these, online titles, it is very much in flux. I would take anything you hear about a game being in development when it's one of those styles of games to be, we might see it someday, we might not. As far as these live service online focused titles go, hopefully they do see the light of day, and I do question whether or not we see the Horizon MMO. That is one game that every time I heard about it, I'm like, okay, that's interesting that you're working on a Horizon MMO. Who knows if it'll ever see the light of day? Because honestly, when it comes to the live service projects, I am very much a wait and see kind of person with that. That's why I don't even understand why they were unveiling games like Fair Game and Concord, and I don't mean to crap on those games all the time, but you're unveiling these live service titles, which obviously people don't get overly excited about, and they're not even attached to a notable IP, but you're doing CG trailers for them. Wonder why that is. That just seems incredibly nonsensical and honestly borderline incompetent. At least in the case of, let's say they reveal a Horizon multiplayer project, people would be like, okay, that's Horizon, that's an IP I know, but we still haven't heard official information or official news as far as a trailer is concerned, so we'll see how that turns out. A smaller scale online game, like nothing that's a full-blown MMO, because NCSoft is working on the MMO. As far as a smaller scale multiplayer title, I look at something like a Ghost of Tsushima Legends, like that's a smaller scale online project that I think could work for Horizon. The MMO is just something I am totally not sold at, because I've been given no reason to be sold on that. Guerrilla doing an online project attached to Horizon that's a little bit smaller scale than, let's say, an MMO or a full-blown live service game, I think that could be rather compelling and could be something interesting, but we'll ultimately wait and see how that turns out. And given that Sony did say that they don't have a major first party or a major franchise release scheduled for this year, a new franchise release, I don't know if the Horizon multiplayer project would fall into that category. Would that be a smaller, major franchise release? I don't know, but we'll see someday as far as it coming out. I do think the Horizon online project from Guerrilla will see the light of day. It's just, I do expect it to be some sort of smaller scale project. Moving on from that, Dragon Age Dreadwolf, a game that, I always knew it was going to come out. I'm just very skeptical on when exactly it's going to come out. This is why I just hate when developers, publishers reveal these games so freaking early. But according to a new claim from Jeff Grubb on the latest Games Mess, Dragon Age Dreadwolf could potentially launch sometime in late 2024. In December of 23, BioWare officially confirmed that a full reveal is coming in summer of 24, and players can already wishlist the game now on all platforms. BioWare also released an official trailer last December, but it was a very, very brief cinematics-based trailer, and that they would reveal more information in the summer. With a full reveal coming soon, this does support Grubb's stated release window. However, BioWare has not confirmed anything officially about Dragon Age Dreadwolf. Grubb also mentioned that BioWare employees feel confident about the window. Many of Grubb's previous statements on Game Press have also proven to be reliable. However, Grubb mentioned that they are uncertain about when the release window will be revealed, so it might come later on. I imagine if they're doing a full summer reveal, that the release window will be attached to that, and I do like that in the sense that we know that Dragon Age Dreadwolf has been in development, but they haven't done the full showcase showcase of the game yet. So if you're gonna parlay the full showcase with revealing a release date, or at the very least a release window, that's at least something that I think people will be excited about, and something that I think is good to handle. I believe Dreadwolf was announced in like 2018 or 2020, somewhere around there, and it's just insane to me that we're announcing games this far in advance. Like, there's no reason for it. I get it that you need people to join the team and whatnot, but then, you know, for Mass Effect, why do that N7 day nonsense that they did? I think it was last year. Like, I want to say that was the dumbest trailer I've ever seen in my life, but given that the Concord trailer exists, like, that's not really the case. I can't really make that argument, but stuff like that I just feel like is so nonsensical, and it's just lame. You just want to get in the news cycle for a little bit. Yeah, people are gonna talk about it, but it's just like, you're literally accomplishing nothing with a trailer like that, and the game is still years away as far as the new Mass Effect game goes. Hopefully Dragon Age Dreadwolf turns out well, because man, when I look at BioWare, that was one of the studios that late 2000s, early 2010s, you look at their track record of games, they put out the Mass Effect trilogy and the Dragon Age, the OG Dragon Age games, back to back to back to back. That was the one of the greatest stretches of game releases from a studio ever, and now you look at them present day, they're like a washed studio. Like, if you want to talk about studios that are absolutely washed, you put BioWare in there, you put Rocksteady in there. I would even, like, say, I don't think Naughty Dog is completely washed, but look at what they've put out over the last 6 years or so. They canceled the game and they put out Last of Us Part 2, which some people liked, other people really vehemently hated it, and again, compare that to late 2000s, early 2010s. It's just unfortunate how some of these studios have turned out. Obviously, gaming is a very what have you done for me lately kind of business, so if Dragon Age Dreadwolf comes out and it turns out to be a banger of a release, the perception will change overnight. People will be, oh, BioWare's back, and I hope that is the case. I hope that with the release of Dreadwolf, BioWare will be back, but it's just hard to get excited for a lot of these games, especially when you're announcing them like 6 years ahead of release. We'll see how it turns out. Lastly, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Hey, Rebirth was announced in 2022, came out in early 2024. That's a pretty good turnaround for a Final Fantasy game. Playing through Rebirth right now, the game is fantastic. Loving the game. You guys know when I talk about games that usually, especially on PS5, I talk about how I prioritize the performance mode. Guys, the performance mode in FF7 Rebirth, in my opinion, is so bad that I am playing it on the graphics mode. I constantly talk about 60 frames per second and how I need it in my games, but that performance mode I think is terrible, and I'm playing it on the graphics mode. And the graphics mode, absolutely stunning. I think the game looks tremendous in the graphics mode, but the performance mode leaves a lot to be desired from a visual standpoint. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth director Naoki Hamaguchi mentions that while he cannot reveal the full details of what it contains as far as the patch, he says that an update is on the way, and one of the things it will fix is the visual quality in the performance mode. We've received a lot of feedback on whether the graphics in the performance mode will be improved or not. We hear you, and we are currently working on an update patch to improve that aspect. I don't think the release date would be far away from now. We have heard the players in certain situations, the facial lighting makes more character shadows look very scary, so that's one part of the update that we are working on. That's just one part, but hopefully they do make the performance mode better, because the graphics mode absolutely stunning, and from my experience the frame rate is pretty solid, so like it's a fine experience in graphics mode. I've kind of gotten to the point where, brothers, it's a $400 box for the digital edition of the PS5, 30 FPS. I'm not gonna scoff at it too much when a game looks as good as FF7 Rebirth and is the scale of FF7 Rebirth. Like, I'll give it a pass. When a game's like a Gotham Knights, like 30 FPS, no moss on that, but you know, FF7 Rebirth, the graphics mode looks stunning, and it does have that performance mode still if you really need the 60 FPS, but man, I think the graphics mode is so much better. So that's the one I'm gonna play with for now. If the update drops before I beat the game, and I do plan on doing multiple playthroughs of this game at some point, maybe not back-to-back, because that's kind of difficult these days with all these games coming out. Obviously, I'll circle back and probably play it on the performance mode if it gets to a level that, you know, is worthwhile. I'm not saying it has to look as good as the graphics mode. That's not possible, but man, the performance mode leaves a lot to be desired visually, in my humble opinion. And I'm usually pretty lax on performance modes and whatnot, but this one, I think, looks pretty terrible, so hopefully a patch does improve that quite a bit. But that is going to do it for me. Again, a lot of PlayStation updates. Horizon multiplayer title is not canceled. Dragon Age Dreadwolf may be coming out later this year. Hopefully that is the case, and hopefully it changes BioWare's fortunes and, you know, their perception in gaming today. And Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, phenomenal game, absolutely worth the $70. But that performance leaves a lot to be desired. Hopefully the patch will do well. That's going to do it for me. Sound off with all of your thoughts in the comments section down below. Thank you for watching, and goodbye. Hey guys, we hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to hit the subscribe button, and if you're already subscribed, do us a favor and hit the bell icon. This way you'll be notified whenever we post a new video. That's the best way to keep up with all of our uploads, and we usually try to upload 2 videos a day. And with the bell icon hit, you'll be notified whenever we do upload a video. As always, thanks for watching.